Hey y'all, and welcome to another video. Two disclaimers. One, it is kind of raining on and off, so if you could hear it, that's what it is. Also, Oliver is like actively snoring. If you hear him sawing away, that's what that is. The whole concept of this video was kind of inspired by two of my more recent favorite contemporary romance series coming to an end. So one is the Mountain Men Matchmaker series by Amy Dawes. I'll put those 4 books here. Book 4 is coming out, I think, this coming Tuesday from when this video goes up. And Jessica Peterson's Lucky Rivers Ranch, or is it Lucky River? It might just be Lucky River Ranch series has come to an end. I believe that was in April. So with the ending of those series, it kind of made me think about all the series that I have on the go and then all of the ones that are actually complete that I enjoyed so much. And it's really fun to be able to binge a whole series. So let's jump in. I have them kind of broken out in sections. It will come as no surprise probably that most of these fall into romance or fantasy, but first up I do have a little mystery series and you can probably guess what it is. So first is this little stack of Shady Hollow books by Juneau Black. This is a double author collaboration and they have decided for the time being to stop. This might be a little bit of a cheat because I think it is a, in my heart, not forever, but for now kind of finishing. It's possible that more books could come along someday. And if you're not familiar with this series, I'm gonna pick my favorite one and hold it up probably. Twilight Falls is my favorite. It is book 4 of the series. Besides these 6 books, there are 2 KU novellas. I think it's just 2, but those are also great. I would recommend them. They're only available as ebooks. But if you're not familiar with the series, it is a very whimsical, cozy mystery series set in a small town tucked away in the woods and inhabited completely by anthropomorphized animals who all live together in somewhat harmony. I did say these are mysteries and they do feature a lot of murder. So we follow main character Vera Vixen, who is a fox. Here she is on the cover of book 1. She's a fox reporter who finds herself at the center of the town's shockingly regular murder mysteries. These books overall, outside of the mystery, have just a very cozy and warm vibe. There's these nice cafes, there's like the small town feeling, gossiping neighbors, quirky personalities, and then you have that surprising twist of the murder mysteries that show the darker side of this seemingly idyllic community. I recommend these books to basically anyone. I have absolutely adored every single one. And like I said, this is a not forever, but for now, or at least I'm holding out hope that they will continue writing more in the series. My first up in the romance category is the Brown Sisters books. I don't know if that's what they're technically called, but these are by Talia Hibbert, are all covering the Brown sisters. And so we have Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Take a Hint, Dani Brown, and my personal favorite, Act Your Age, Eve Brown. This is a contemporary romance trilogy following the 3 very, very different Brown sisters as they all fall in love while figuring out adulthood and their family expectations, where they fit in society and in their own lives, and then also the physical and mental struggles that each one of them face. They're very good. They're very charming. There's a lot of banter. I don't know if I mentioned, but the sisters are British, so these books are all set in England. The banter is great. There's a lot of dry humor, in my opinion. And then the family dynamics are quite funny as well. I like how everything is intertwined. And Eve is just my absolute favorite, but I do like the representation throughout. And while there is humor, banter, a good bit of spice, they're also very heartfelt and these characters all feel so real. There are a lot of finalized series that I could recommend here, but I tried to just pick my favorite currently. And while I have enjoyed all the Elsie Silver I've read, her Rose Hill series has been my favorite. I've only read Rose Hill and Chestnut Springs. I still have not had my Gold Rush Ranch journey, but these, I can't imagine anything beating them. My favorite of the series is Wild Side, just far and away the best, one of the best romances I think I've read all year, and I could definitely see being a lifetime favorite. I would reread the whole series just to experience this one again. The series is called Rose Hill. It is set in a small mountain town, so you have those small town, nosy neighbor kind of vibes. Everyone is interconnected, which is a feature of Elsie's books and her whole world that I'm really loving with the upcoming start of her new series, Emerald Lake. I think we're just going to get even more of that, and all of these like intertwining threads, so satisfying, so much fun to read. These books all feature a single dad in some capacity. Not all are biological and not all have grown up with the children in their lives, but they are all somehow single dads. And all of the female main characters are strong and for the most part, like very independent and in my opinion, impressive women. So I just really love the connections here. These are interconnected standalones, so I don't think you have to read them in order. I don't know why you wouldn't. I would recommend for series order to read Chestnut Springs, then Rose Hill, then Gold Rush Ranch, and then of course her newest series that has just released. The first book is Fever Dream, and that will be book 1 in the Emerald Lake series. That would be my recommended reading order so far. These books are a little trope heavy. There is Brother's Best Friend, there is Marriage of Convenience, fake dating, and just like all of the great and wonderful things that I've come to love from Elsie Silver. So another great series. I tried to pick a series for every vibe or every type of reader. I don't have anything in horror that's like a complete series, but if you like romance, but you like something a little bit darker or a little less sweet, I would recommend the Ruinous Love Trilogy by Brynne Weaver. There are 3 books here. We have Butcher and Blackbird, Leather and Lark, Scythe and Sparrow. My favorite again is going to be the final book, Scythe and Sparrow. These are also interconnected standalones that feature 3 brothers. Starting in book 1, we have Rowan, and then we move into Lachlan for book 2, and finally Fionn in Scythe and Sparrow. This was, like I said, my favorite of the series, but the series is rom-com, but with serial killers. And think Dexter, not Ted Bundy. Like, we're trying to eliminate the bad guys. The first book features a competition-style relationship built between Rowan and Sloane as they have the same target each year and see who can be successful in taking that target out. So there is a lot of like banter and comedy, but also with this really dark background. Each character is working through their own set of trauma. I'm sure you can take that from a series of books about basically serial killers, but there is some genuine humor to go with those slasher movie type vibes. These are, I would say, pretty spicy. I would say a 4 out of 5 spice in my opinion, so keep that in mind. But if you are looking for something that's not your traditional rom-com, that has a little more grit and a little more darkness, I would recommend this. My next series lives on the edge of romance and fantasy and maybe a little bit of sci-fi, but deep down I think mostly romance, and that is going to be the Undertaking of Hart and Mercy series by Megan Bannen, another trilogy I absolutely devoured. So book 1 is the Undertaking of Hart and Mercy. We have the Undermining of Twyla and Frank, and finally the Undercutting of Rosie and Adam. Tropes for these would be like enemies to lovers. I think this is like friends to lovers, but also a co-workers vibe. And then finally, again, I think my favorite of the series, the Undercutting of Rosie and Adam. This is a classic opposites attract. These are like cozy but weird rom-coms set in the wasteland of Tanria. It has almost a dystopian sci-fi vibe, but people can't stop falling in love. There are demigods, these undead things called drudges, talking animal messengers, but then also this really close-knit small town vibe where everybody is in everybody's business, everybody knows everybody. So it is very interesting, very quirky. The characters are extremely endearing, very, very heartfelt stories. Something else I think I failed to mention actually about the Undermining of Twyla and Frank, these are older characters, like I think like late 40s, early 50s, and I really liked that representation here because you don't often see characters this age in your traditional like contemporary-ish rom-coms. The characters are really endearing. The banter is great. The overall vibe I would say is emotional, heartfelt, very quirky. It's kind of like fantasy mixed with rom-com, throw in a little bit of Wild Wild West and then like some mythology vibes. It's very good. It's something a little bit different and I don't see a lot of people talking about this one, so I think it deserves a little more hype as a series. Next up is pure romantasy, and that is the Shepherd King Duology by Rachel Gillig. I have these special editions with the gorgeous sprayed edges. I do also have the paperbacks. I can't be helped. This is a series I really wish I had started sooner. It's just a duology, so I don't know if that's cheating or not, but it is complete. You can totally binge these over a weekend. I would highly recommend it. if you haven't started them. These are set in the eerie, like mist-covered kingdom of Blunder, where magic comes from these cards. The use of the cards always comes with a brutal cost. In book 1, main character Elspeth also has this entity inside of her called the Nightmare, and he is like an ancient monster that lives inside of her mind. She has male main character Rowan to offset her. And then as we move into book 2, Two Twisted Crowns, we focus, like we still have Rowan, we still have Elspeth. But in book 2, we get to explore more of the inner workings of court life as we follow Prince Elm and then Ione, who is the female main character to his male main character. I would say the overall vibe is romantasy meets gothic horror with these eerie forests, cursed kings, decaying castles, like just a dark vibe, but also brimming with a lot of hope, in my opinion, and such a worthwhile little duology, a great gateway into Rachel Gillig's work. I don't think it would be a Meg video without a little bit of T. Kingfisher. So this is the Clocktour War duology by T. Kingfisher. It is the Clockwork Boys and the Wonder Engine. I have these sort of indie covers. They're very shiny. This duology is kind of a cheat. It is the introduction into the world of the White Rat, which includes 2 other series that are not finished yet, but this is the perfect place to start to begin your journey into that world of the White Rat. We have this ragtag group on basically a suicide mission to figure out where the Clockwork Boys are coming from. The Clockwork Boys are wreaking havoc across the land. And like I said, this is kind of a suicide mission of a rogue forger, a disgraced paladin, a very, very awkward scholar, and a little bit of a con man slash thief. And it's just so much fun. The relationships, it's very dark. Like the overall story, the overall things that are going on are very dark. But in true T. Kingfisher fashion, there's a lot of humor injected into the banter and even some situational comedy as these characters work to stop the Clockwork Boys. Plus, you get your introduction to Slate and Caliban, and they are the original sassy FMC meets the angsty and earnest paladin. And my final in the fantasy category is going to be the Tomes and Tea series by Rebecca Thorne. I enjoyed these so much. Very cozy vibe. First, we have the Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. Then A Pirate's Life for Tea. They're very punny, if you're not picking that up. Tea You at the Altar. And finally, Alchemy and a Cup of Tea. I'm not sure what my favorite one is. Maybe A Pirate's Life for Tea. So I'll hold that one up. But this series centers Cianth and Rain, who are very capable women who hold very high positions in their respective fields and decide to kind of like throw everything away, run off to the mountains and open a tea shop slash bookstore combo, which I totally get. I would love to do that. They end up moving to this quiet mountain town that is kind of ravaged by dragons, which don't worry, they figure that part out. So you have the small town cozy vibes. You have an already established relationship here with Cianth and Rain. This is just the first time that they can really live together full time. They had previously been in sort of a long distance situation, but you have the small town vibe, magical creatures, tons of adventures, a larger plot that sees us through the whole series, and then smaller problems to solve throughout. There's tons of characters that weave in and out. The adventures they go on, different locations, just a really fun time. They're very heartwarming, and I would say the overall vibe is kind of Legends and Lattes, but more adventure, and we already have an established couple. I personally love that this couple has like healthy communication style. There are baby dragons involved, tons of found family. And then at the end of the day, you have that cozy domestic life, but injected with a lot of fantasy, adventure, and fun. Finally, I have Monk and Robot. This might be cheating too. It's technically a duology of A Psalm for the Wild-Built and A Crown for the Prayer-Shy. This is a sci-fi, very, very cozy duology by Becky Chambers. This is set on the moon of Panga, where humans have had to rebuild society when sentient robots decided that they're not going to serve humans anymore and went off to live their lives in the wild. We follow sibling Dex, who is a struggling, traveling tea monk looking for purpose in their life. They meet Mosscap, and Mosscap is a robot who is tasked with reconnecting with humanity to see if there's anything the humans need after all these years of no robot intervention. Mosscap ends up joining Dex on their travels, and provides a lot of help to these different communities that they encounter on their journeys. This is certainly not a plot-driven duology. It is very much about human connection and interactions. It is about finding purpose in your own life and how it's actually not necessary to constantly be chasing productivity or purpose. Sometimes you can just exist in the greater world with other people. It addresses a lot of emotional healing, burnout, and identity. The overall vibe is very soft, thoughtful, and comforting overall. I definitely dropped a few tears reading this just because it was very poignant for me, and at the time that I read it, I think it was exactly what I needed. I think anyone with a bit of a philosophical bend could really enjoy these. I have one honorable mention, and then I want to talk about series that are ongoing that I'm really excited about, but my honorable mention is the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. I for sure thought that book 3 was the last book, and not 2 days ago, she put on Instagram, after a lot of thought and consideration, Emily Wilde book 4 will be coming out, I think January of 2027, so I couldn't add that one here, and while I am wildly thrilled that there's going to be another one, I was a little surprised. I really thought book 3 was going to be the end. First up on the ongoing series that I'm very excited to continue would be the Golden Girls Mysteries by Rachel Courage. And these are just a Golden Girls revival with a mystery spin. I am patiently waiting for book 2 to come out, I think in about a week and a half, because we have Blanche as our main focus of that book, and she's always been my favorite. Probably an obvious one would be the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and that is the wildly popular and outrageously funny lit RPG book series by Matt Dinniman. There's so much heart, a gaggle of characters to fall in love with, including a talking cat, a disembodied head that screams, "I will kill your mother," constantly, and a screaming anthropomorphized goat man. What more could you want? The Saints of Steel series is confirmed to be continuing. Like T. Kingfisher has said, she will finish that whole series, so I cannot wait for more of that. The series is about a group of traumatized and perpetually angsty paladins whose god has died. The wider plot includes some kind of murder mysteries and a journey to find what may have killed their god, but also along the way, everyone gets their own little romance, and I absolutely adore these books. Another ongoing series that I absolutely love is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. These books all follow a kind of lonely, magic-wielding person and their journey in finding love, community, and a sense of belonging. This is a world where there are sentient plants that talk to you, beautiful and interesting sea creatures, and forbidden spells. The Murderbot Diaries. Okay, we just got our next installment from Martha Wells. The novella is Platform Decay, and this series follows a socially anxious security robot who has broken his corporate software and really just wants to binge TV all day and stay away from humans. Unfortunately, they are constantly pulled in to rescue missions that put them right next to humans. And Murderbot is forced to analyze their own growing feelings towards humankind. It's very funny and a very interesting sci-fi world. Something about the Dream Harbor series has me in a chokehold. Have all the books worked for me? No, but the ones that I've liked, I've really, really liked. And most recently, I finished The Daisy Chain Flower Shop. It was a winner. The book before it was fine. The one before that, did not like. But this one was a real winner for me, and so I just cannot let this series go. It has all the small town vibes, very coastal, very almost Gilmore Girls-esque vibe of everybody being all up in everybody's business. I don't just mean everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everything about everybody. And there's something really charming about them. And also, I cannot wait to continue the Devil series by Joe Abercrombie. I believe book 2 is coming in 2027 as well. And this follows just a band of brutal and really dysfunctional monsters and outcasts that are forced to work together on a deadly mission, another sort of suicide mission type vibe. It's a very dark world. Everything is very grim and violent. However, the relationships and the banter, there's just something really charming about the books, even with all of that violence and suffering. And I will say the first book was extremely heartbreaking for me, and I need to know what's going to happen next. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. Like I said at the beginning, there's no way that I could have included all of the series that I've loved and would recommend, but I thought these would be a good starting point and a little something for everybody here. So I hope you found something interesting, maybe something that you can check out soon. If you could, leave me your favorite series down in the comments below. I'm always looking for a completed series that I can jump into. And thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Bye.